Hello, everyone. Sonia Cato Howard here, Facebook Live, eWomen. I am partnering up with Kimmy McNeese, and we together are doing eWomen Mentorship. We help women to live happy, healthy, and hopeful. Tonight, every Wednesday I'm here. Kimmy is on every Thursday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, and then every first and third Tuesdays we're doing Meetup, eWomen on Meetup, which you can dial in on your phone or internet. Tonight I'm going to do a retake of what I talked about last week because I don't think anyone was able to see my video. So the topic is new information can change your life. And so when I say that, I'm really talking about how in life you have new things that come about. You have a new fork in the road where you can go to the right or to the left. And if you take that turn, it could really take you in a different direction, take you down a whole different path of your life. And even though it's a really big decision, it could be kind of scary. It's new, it's different, and it's probably different than what everyone else is doing. So that's what makes it really scary, because it's outside of the norm. And so when I think about that, I think about the Matrix. You have the blue pill and the red pill. The blue pill is you stay exactly where you are. The story ends there. Nothing changes. The red pill, you actually take the red pill and you go into Wonderland. And you go down deep into the rabbit hole to see just how far it goes. And basically what that means is your life take a whole new spin down a whole new path. Whenever I have big decisions like that, I really take the time to think them through, to see, what are all the pros and cons from this decision. The pros are, what are all the good things that can happen if I do this, make this decision. The cons are, what are all the bad things that can happen if I make this decision, as well as all the bad things that can happen if I don't make this decision. Once I get that information, I make a decision and then I jump. A lot of times we are stressed out because we have not made a decision. We get stressed just thinking about it. But the moment we make a decision, the stress goes away. Kind of like when I joined the Navy. The blue pill, everything stayed the same. My mom was an alcoholic. She drank every weekend. Started on Friday and then end on Monday. I could stay with that. I would probably be at home in school and doing that and dealing with that. However, the red pill would be, what I saw on TV. Go and live a life of adventure, travel the world. However, I also remember the movies that would show you the people screaming at you and your life changing and them controlling your life. But for me, weighing it all out, the pros outweighed the cons. And so I leaped and I joined the Navy. So today I kind of want to talk to you about where I am in my life. It's a combination of new information that I have gotten in my life. And every time I got that new information, I made a decision and turned a different direction. And then that led to another decision and so forth. And so I have to kind of take you all the way back about 10 years ago. About 10 years ago, my friend Tanya took me to a financial conference with this white guy who was telling all this information about how you can get out of debt. You don't have to live from paycheck to paycheck. You can have money saved. And really, ultimately, you can be a millionaire, because everybody in America, we make so much money, but we waste all of our money. And he just really talked about how we just make a lot of bad decisions with our money. We shop a lot, we buy expensive purses, expensive shoes, and then we can't even pay our bills. And we have to end up borrowing money from friends and family. And how most people in America are living from paycheck to paycheck. They have no money saved, and yet they just keep refinancing their homes. That's one of the biggest things that really opened my eyes. I have refinanced my house just like everybody else, probably about 5 or 6 times. And each time I was sold this little idea that, you can get a better interest rate, or you can take out a second mortgage and you can do some things you want to do. What they don't tell you is that you're starting all over every single time you do that. So you never pay off your house. So he talked about how everybody is refinancing their home and everybody just having a good time, partying, drinking it up their whole check. They don't have anything to show for it. So when I got that information, the blinders were taken off my eyes. I left there. I bought his book. I did exactly what he said doing. And then I got to the point, it took me about 5 or 6 years, but I paid off all of my debt except for my student loan and as well as my house. I cut up all of my credit cards and then I closed out all of my accounts. I started paying cash for everything, including my cars. And I only bought a new car if I needed a new car. So the next thing that I learned with Dave Ramsey is, by the way, this is the book, Dave Ramsey. This is the workbook, but you need to get it. It will change your life. The next thing he talked about was being a millionaire. Once you get out of debt, you can actually start to invest your money to get into debt. Well, I had researched it and I found out that I needed to pay off my student loan first. So my student loan was $30,000, but I worked on it and I paid it off. Okay, so now I was ready for the next level. That's when I got this new information. Dave Ramsey had endorsed this black guy. And so I'm just like, okay, if Dave Ramsey endorsed this black guy, he must have his stuff together. The guy is Chris Hogan. The name of his book is Retired Inspired. Love the book. He talks about everything about how to really make your money work for you. One of the examples he used was a SUV that he absolutely had to have. He paid $500 a month for it. And if he had invested that $500 instead, he would almost be a millionaire now instead of paying that $500 to that loan company. He also talked about how we in America are not responsible. We make money, we spend all of our money, then when we get old, we expect our kids to take care of us, even though our kids have their own kids and they're struggling with their finances. Here we come wanting them to take care of us. And he said how it's very irresponsible of us to do that. We should be responsible with the money that we have. And when whoever is going to take care of us, we should have our own money saved up for retire. He talked about the myths of investing in stock. In particular, he talked about how the big stock crash where everybody was jumping out the windows. He said a couple of months after that, the market went right back to normal. After 9/11, a lot of markets went down. A couple of months later, it went right back up to normal. But everybody pulled their money out. So people don't talk about that part. But I love the idea. So basically, after I read the book, I met with one of the representatives. I set up a great plan for my retirement, how much money I want to live off of. And then I had the biggest thing, I had to pay off my house. I had a very aggressive goal of paying off my house in 2 years. But the outcome would be after I pay off my house, I could really just throw a lot of money into investment. And then I could, still travel and retire when I get old. Not retire when I get old, but, be set up good. So I set up a budget and I started doing it. I started, getting ready to do that. And then, of course, I got laid off. And I know that sounds really crazy, but the layoff ended up giving me some new information. So now that I've been off work since August, I've been off for a minute now, I've been watching TV. I started watching this show at night called Tiny House Builders. And I thought it was so cute. Oh, look at the cute little houses and all the stuff that they're putting in there, and it's multitasking. And then I switched over my cable TV, and so that I couldn't find the Tiny House Builder, so I ended up getting the Tiny House Hunters. Once I got the Tiny House Hunters, I started looking at it and thinking, wow, this is amazing. You can get a tiny house of 15,000. It's so much room in there. And I started thinking, wow, my girls should get a tiny house. Why go into debt? Why just get a tiny house and then you can take it wherever you want and it's all you need. And then my thoughts went to, wow, I wonder if I could live in a tiny house. And then from there, my thoughts went to, you know what? I'm buying a tiny house. Pretty drastic, I know. It's very drastic. But the idea of me not paying off this house and instead paying cash for a tiny house made so much sense to me. Because that means that I could get out of this house and I could have all of my money available to me now. And I could start investing money now. And that way I could meet my goal faster. So that's what I started doing. I started, making plans to do that. Of course, I still don't have a job, but once I actually started investigating and I found out that my house is upside down. So just like a lot of other people who've been refinancing, not only that, just the market is just not back, is just not up. So I'm upside down in my house. So now I have to think about other things like renting out my house, for example. Plus, I have my 98-year-old grandmother, but I found a tiny house that's big enough for both of us. I'm going to get a tiny house that's off the grid. So, this led to the next set of information, the next new information that I got that blew my mind. So, my girl who was doing my crochet hair, shout out to Rikaya, she was saying that most people that live in tiny houses are minimalists. And so I was asking, well, what is that? And so she told me about it. We looked at the documentary, and basically minimalists believe in only keeping what brings you value. I love the idea. It makes so much sense. They talked about how in this world we are told in America you need to buy a big house and have 2-car garage and 2 cars and so forth. But then when you buy the big houses, you have to fill it up. So you spend all your money buying stuff to fill up the big houses that we bought. And then everybody's strapped. Nobody can go on vacation because everybody's in debt and working from paycheck to paycheck. And it really made so much sense to me. So it blew my mind that in order for me to live in a tiny house that I'm saying I want to live in, I have to get rid of everything. Yes, I know it sounds crazy. But when I tell you I am so excited about the idea of that, about getting rid of everything, and just keep what brings you value. And I am just excited about the idea of that. And so now I've started decluttering my house. I've been working in my office for 2 weeks and I'm still nowhere near done. So you can imagine how much stuff you have in your house, right? All the things you've been collecting over years, all the clothes we buy, all the shoes we buy, things that we never wear, things that are in the closet that we may use one day. So do you see how it's all connected? It's all connected because first I had to get out of debt. Then after I got out of debt, I learned about investing. I was in position to learn about investing. Then after I started learning to invest and I got all the way down to just a house note, I found out it's a better opportunity to get a tiny house and not even pay off the house. And then from that, how am I going to move into a tiny house unless I become a minimalist? So I have had many, many times where I've gotten new information in my life, and it has definitely changed the path of my life. That's just one example. I'm sure you have also had lots of new information, opportunities come to you that you have changed your life. And one of the things that I've noticed is that they're all related to answered prayers. At some point, I prayed about getting out of debt. At some point, I prayed about being able to invest money. At some point, I prayed about getting from under this bill in this house and being prepared when I get older to have money to live off of, to travel. So we all have to start with prayers. I believe I am advising you, as always, to go to God for everything that you need. It starts with prayer. Once you pray, God will give you opportunities. Then you invest the opportunities, investigate, and you weigh the pros and cons, and then you make a decision. I want to leave you with this quote from Charles Jones. It says, "You are the same today that you're going to be in 5 years from now, except for two things: the people whom you associate with and the books you read." So, who are you associating with, aka talking to? And what are you reading? As usual, E-Women, helping women to live happy, healthy, and hopeful. Don't forget to catch my girl Kimmy tomorrow night at 9 p.m. as always. Thank you.